Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Energy Works. Lauren here with a solo episode. And I've been really doing a deep dive. Well, both Blaine and I have for a while about longevity. We just taught a class with the Eden Method, our mothership on longevity, and had over 800 people. It's obviously a hot topic. And it's something that I've been studying for a long time. I know Blaine has as well. And there are so many parts and pieces of the longevity literature, dialogues, all of that, data, science. And a lot of it is really confusing and contradictory even. I always sort of joke about the bro boys of longevity because there's a ton of biohacking and data gathering, all of the wearable devices and all of this stuff. And then, of course, there's the supplement market, which a lot of these bro boys, who, by the way, I love the bro boys. And I'd love to talk with some of them actually on this podcast because I got questions. But then there's a lot of them that are also selling supplements and courses and classes on longevity. And what I think is so funny about that, especially the supplements, because that's really big money, like billion-dollar industry, is you can't really tell if it's working till you're dead. If you died young, then it didn't work, but you're not getting your money back. And if you live really, really old and super healthily, then it did work, whatever it was you're doing. But will you be able to tell what is working, what worked for you, what worked the best for you? What was it that actually helped you to live such a long and healthy life? So it's really an easy racket, can I say that word, to get into because there's truly no way to hold accountability. Now, all of the data nerds are going to jump and say, well, that's not true because you can look at all the data and you can see that your good numbers go up and your bad numbers go down because, of course, you're testing everything every other minute, and which is yet another massive financial windfall for the blood banks and for all of the testing services. So what is a poor girl to do that who wants to live forever or a really long time in health for a really long time, having health span, equal lifespan, and have both of those be really long? It can get confusing. And, you know, the biggest piece that I've been trying to drill down on and get some clarity is the protein debate. And it's just this massive conversation. And Peter Attia, one of the, the top dogs in this field, I guess, he jokes about that. He hates talking about protein, but the questions keep coming in. And I can't tell you how many Peter Attia podcasts I've listened to about protein and the protein debates. And I'm still not getting clarity because, of course, then there's people on the other side of the aisle. So Peter and a lot of other people, Mark Hyman, Jesse Inchape, I'm so sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, the glucose goddess. There's a lot of people talking about the need for massive amounts of protein, far more than the recommended daily allowance. And that especially as we age, getting into 70, 75 and beyond, we really need a lot of protein to keep our muscles, because our muscles start to atrophy after about the age of 30. And so we need to keep our muscles and keep building muscles so that we have a strong, like your muscles and your bones, right? It is what keeps you up and moving and alive and strong through your life. And so the more muscle that you build, the stronger you are, goes that theory. But then on the other side of the theory is Dr. Longo and Dr. Gundry, who are saying that you need far less protein. So there's this, and everyone's quoting the data. Now, I said I'm not a data nerd. I'm not that kind of scientist that can review the raw data and tell you exactly what it is. So I keep reaching out to both sides of the aisle and saying, can we have a conversation? What is the truth of all this data. It's like the devil can quote scripture for his purposes. And I just want to know, are we all just reading and interpreting the data to make it align with what we want it to be? And I definitely feel, I'm swayed by these books and these doctors telling me what is the way to go. And again, as somebody who doesn't study the raw data, I think it's really important to get good, solid advice. But when the advice is coming from people that you quote trust and they're saying opposite things, then it's really confusing. So I'll read, Dr. Attia's book or Mark Hyman's book, and it's like, okay, I need to be getting, 100, 130 grams of protein a day. And then I'll read Longo or Gundry, and they're like, you need like 50 or 60 grams of protein, and actually too much protein is deleterious here, on and on and on and on and on. So what's a poor girl to do? And this debate goes on. I feel like the debate is strongest around protein and diet. And I'm not even going to get into the differences in diet. You all know that Blaine is a vegan and I'm an omnivore. We both try to be as organic as possible. But it's laughable. I'm laughing even as I talk about it. It's what are you going to eat? And is it this or this? Or there's 5 or 6 or 8 different diets out there. And using common sense doesn't always work. And actually, Longo says in his book, that moderation is key. He kind of shoots that theory down. So it gets really confusing. And that's the biggest piece that is, I feel, the most confusing is what to eat so that you can have a long and fruitful and healthy life. And there's still some debate in the other avenues and the other areas of longevity, but less so. Like sleep, everybody agrees. You need to have good, solid sleep. They don't all agree on the data of accessing all of the data for how to get that sleep. But that, turning off the blue lights at night, having a Wi-Fi free house, dark lights, going to bed early, all of those things. There's not a lot of disagreement on that. So, there's these several areas of longevity and most of them overlap and they agree. Number one, I feel like that everybody does agree on is exercise. You move it or lose it, right? That is really a truism that all of the experts agree with. And sleep, the need to rejuvenate. The need to have a healthy diet. There's not a lot of discussion around or disagreement around that. No one's saying that you should eat UPS, ultra processed foods. That's kind of, everyone's off that one. So you should eat whole foods, clean food as much as possible. Now, again, what those are, a lot of disagreement, but eating them whole, right? So not eating a lot of packaged foods. And so then they all kind of slide into their own pockets of expertise. And that's when you get a lot of that testing and the supplementing and all of that kind of thing. And then some of them, but very few, throw in some of the things that I think is the most important parts of this whole longevity conversation. And I'll say at the outset, because of course I'm biased, I teach energy medicine yoga. I created energy medicine yoga. I've been studying energy medicine with Donna Eden and several other really powerful teachers for quite a long time. And that is really overlooked in the longevity literature. When people talk about energy, they're talking about sleep, getting enough of it or not getting enough of it. Stress, that's a big one in the longevity world, is minimizing your stress. They talk about coffee. I have a little bit of coffee in my coffee cup here. And because of the course that we just taught, I learned from Blaine that the best coffee to drink for increasing the telomere length is drip coffee. So I'm drinking organic drip coffee. But actually, I just put a little bit of coffee in, and then I have my dandelion, which is good for detoxing the liver. And my sweetener is monk fruit because I try to stay away from too much sugar. So there's my health promoting drink, giving a little bit of energy. But nobody's really talking about energy the way we talk about energy on Energy Works, right? The 9 energy systems of the body, the underlying energy that operates every part of your body, the electrical energy that actually animates you. And not a lot of people talking about breath. You can find little bits of it here and there, but breath and breathing capacity is massive for longevity and health span as well. But a piece that I've seen a couple of places, but it's really buried and is really downplayed, is joy. Joy, pleasure, contentment, and hugely community. Dan Buettner talks about community when he talks about the blue zones. And what I feel like is missing from the longevity literature, there's this massive devotion to all of this testing and, all of these biohacks and all of these ways to lengthen your life, hopefully, and to lengthen your health span, which is the amount of life that you live healthily. But where's the joy? If every moment of the day you're just planning for some future where you'll still hopefully be alive and you'll still hopefully be strong enough to do the things that you love, but your days are devoted to, if you're eating 150 grams of protein a day, you're eating a lot, which we don't even take into consideration how much stress that puts on your digestive system. But regardless, you're spending all of your day eating, all of your day supplementing. This one book, it's Gundry. I actually have it right here because I was looking up something else. And, he goes into his whole supplement thing. And then he's like, I always get asked what supplements I take. And so not that I think you should take these, but I'm going to let you know what I take. I'm not going to be able to find it quickly enough here. So he starts off and he lists, 10 or 12. And I'm thinking, gosh, that's an awful lot of supplements. But okay, that's what he's got going on. And then you turn the page and it's like another 2 whole pages of supplements. That's just insanity to me that you are just pouring these supplements into your body, which again, your body has to deal with. So, and not in a whole food system. Now, I know that our food supplies have been really, how do I say this? We know that there's a lot more toxins in the food supply than ever, and there's a lot less robust, good nutrients. The nutrient density in our food supply is also lowered because of our farming practices, because of just the glyphosate that's coating the planet. And now, it's water soluble, so it's in all the water, and then it's in the raindrops. It's like a closed loop cycle. So we know all that. We do know we need to do some supplementation, but that just seemed to me a little bit overdoing it. So where's the joy? Because the truth of the matter is, and Peter Attia talks about this in his book, and if I ever got a chance, Peter, if you're listening to this, if there's some random chance that you're listening to this podcast, please call me up. I would love to have you on this podcast because I really want to talk to you about your book. His book is called Outlive, which right there is so competitive. It's outlive. It's not like live really long, live long and prosper. It's outlive. It's like he wants to outlive. Is it everybody else? Is it his own preconceptions of how he thought he would live? Anyway, it's very yang. Let's just say that. It's very yang, as opposed to the blue zones, which is much more yin. This idea of community and family and support. And in the blue zones, it is about the joy and dancing and crafting and being with others in community, because that really is the essence and the joy and is that the overall purpose of being here? It's certainly one of them, it seems to me. And when we talk about things that, we want more free time, why? What do we want more free time to do? We want more free time so that we can pursue the pleasures and the joys that we have in our life, even if it's not community oriented. Maybe you like gardening by yourself or reading, or I've been ice skating every day. I go by myself and I love it. I put in a podcast and I spend an hour and a half at the rink, and it's wonderful. and I feel joyful. And the beauty of that is like, I'm doing it for a few reasons. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting exercise. I'm preparing myself for ski season so that I don't have any injuries. I'm working on balance. I'm working on my breathing capacity. I'm learning something because I'm listening to a podcast. But underneath all of that, I'm having so much fun. And so if you have fun eating a million supplements a day or rucking, right, which is hiking with a huge, heavy weighted vest, different than like wearing a backpack with all the stuff that you're going to go backpack and, use. You're just maybe walking around with heavy weights. I'm not opposed to that, but the underlying push beneath all of this feels to me very fear-based. It's like, I don't want to die. I'm gripping on it. I'm going to do absolutely everything I can. But if you're not experiencing joy in this moment, why are you so consumed with prolonging how many more moments that you are going to have in this life? So in Peter's book, Outlive, he goes through all of this really powerful, data-driven, science-backed things about longevity, health span, lifespan. And he gets all the way to almost to the end of the book. And it is a big, fat book. And he gets almost to the end of the book. And then he finally brings up his mental health. And he says, for years, he's been depressed. He's been angry. He almost lost his marriage because he was uncommunicative. He's miserable. He's got trauma that he's never dealt with. And he's dragging through his life just angry and miserable and just tight. Now, he's just spent this whole book, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, telling all of us how to live longer and better, and yet he's been miserable for a huge percentage and portion of his life. I would have flipped that whole thing and started the book with this. You need to get your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and your energetic health all really robust. And then the rest of those things, let's spend some time on those, but we don't have to spend all of our time in the gym, in the health food store, in the doctor's office, drawing blood and reading our blood results. Like, we don't need to do all of that. I was talking with another good friend of mine, Eileen McCusick, who some of you know, and she talks about the pleasure diet and the pleasure lifestyle, really. And we were talking about this idea of, the weightlifting and all of this and like having a really good muscular system so that your bones and muscles stay healthy. But we were talking about like when you see a lot of like a really, really old people in the world, and maybe you're lucky enough to have some of them in your life, they are mostly kind of small. We all tend to lose mass as we age. So a lot of them can be shriveled. Now, maybe this is an argument for increasing your protein and keeping your muscles and bones strong, which I would argue is true. But these men and women that live to these, 102, 105, 112, there was just an article in the New York Times about a 103-year-old yoga teacher in France. And so beautiful. She's the most beautiful woman, and she's doing yoga, and she is laughing with her friends and cultivating relationships and eating beautiful, healthy, organic food that's just there locally. And she's not getting her blood tested 6 times a year, and she's not eating a million supplements, and she's not weightlifting. But she is flexible, and she is joyful. And she is in community quite a bit. And she gardens every day. And so I just want to throw this out there as a completely non-scientific study, but one that you might consider taking on as your own science experiment on yourself. Because really that is in fact what this life is, right? You try things. Do they work? Do they not work? But how are you? Like really, like how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you content with your life? Are you chafing at the bit? And to start to look at those pieces and start to work with those ideas of bringing in more joy and more peace and more contentment, more community, more social engagement, not social media engagement. I mean, real people in real space, looking real people in the eyes, hugging people, playing with animals, being authentically and joyfully embodied and alive. Because if you're not doing that, I just feel like, what is the purpose or the point of living to 120 or 150, or the guy that doesn't want to die at all? Don't Die is the name of his company. It's kind of laughable. And I feel like it's more important to enjoy every moment, because you can do everything right. You can follow to a T all of the, quote, rules of longevity. And anything could happen to any of us at any moment. And I think about this because I've lost a lot of people in my life very young. They were young. I was young. I've had a lot of loss. A lot of people have died in my life young. And so I think about that, and I think about being prepared to die at any moment. And I don't want to die at any moment. I've already said this. I want to live to 120. But I also feel ready to at any moment. And if I am going to die at any moment, I certainly don't want my last moments to be checking my blood to make sure that my levels have done what the bro boys are saying I'm supposed to watch every 3 months. I'm not saying to not visit your doctor. I'm actually going to get my blood work done on Wednesday. So there you have it. I do check my blood. I hope I don't die on the way to give blood on Wednesday. But after I give blood, I'm going to go ice skating. And then I'm meeting with a friend who I haven't seen in a long time, and we're going to go for a hike and out to lunch. And then I'm going to go home and work. And the work that I do, I adore it. I love it. So everything that I'm doing is supporting the longevity, but the present moment. The present moment. Be here now. And I guess really I've just spent a whole long bit of time saying that. To be here now. And if you are struggling with your mental health or your emotional health or your spiritual health, reach out. Reach out to the people in your community that can help you. And if you don't know who they are, look for them. Look for the helpers. Reach out to us here at Energy Medicine Yoga. This is really what we're here to support. Mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and then physical health comes because it's joyful to be in the body, as opposed to have to trudge to the gym and then I've got to eat this food because I'm supposed to, but I don't really like it. All of that. Swipe left. Embrace your life with joy. Okay, that's my little thought for the day. I hope you are all having a wonderful day wherever you are. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this massively huge debate on longevity, because it's fascinating. And to be honest, it's one of the things that I really do enjoy. I enjoy these deep dives to try to understand and learn more and more and more, because I have an archetype of a student is one of my archetypes. And so I love learning. And I love to learn what you think is the most important facet of longevity and what you're confused about in the longevity debates. And we'll see if we can get some clarity. And Peter, thank you for letting me talk about you and your journey. And I'd love to talk about it with you sometime. So let's see if we can hashtag Peter Attia a few times and get him on this podcast. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.